A very good evening to all of you watching us today on Vasantham TV and the official YouTube channel of Prime Television. Let me welcome all of you to the spotlight, bringing to you a story every week that will ignite change in our country and around the world. Now today, ladies and gentlemen, we have someone very special with us, joining us in our studios today to talk about something very important to everyone watching. Panchali Panapitiya, Director of RARE, a Rally for Animal Rights and the Environment. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, so let me start off with a very simple question. How did you get into this field, looking after the environment, looking out for the environment and animals? What was that driving force?
Yeah, actually I was a corporate banker.
Really?
So
Okay.
I was doing pretty well in my career, and then I was abroad. I was working in two banks. I worked in two banks in Dubai as well.
Okay.
But since returning back to Sri Lanka, I couldn't help but get involved in matters happening in my environment around me. So I started off as volunteering on dog sterilization camps.
Right.
So I went and I helped in catching dogs. I helped in cleaning and feeding the dogs and so on. And then I made connections, especially my friend Manoja Virakudi, who's a senior in the field,
Okay.
thought that I should use my skills that I've gained in the corporate world and do some difference in the lives of the animals. So in 2019, me and another friend of mine, Iraqi Koditwaku, we wanted to have a big rally in Sri Lanka,
Okay.
where we wanted to have demonstrations, but different types of with a lot of models and very educative type of demonstration to tell the story of animals, like the plight of animals. So, and we did not want to just limit it to farm animals or wild animals. We wanted all the animals on board. So we invited all animal organizations, conservation organizations and environmental organizations and do the rally. So this was supposed to be held on 1st of June in 2019. And we started planning in March, and that rally was called Rally for Animal Rights and Protection of Environment. So as you know, unfortunately in April the Easter bombings happened in 2019. So there was a state of emergency, and we could not have big gatherings, so we had to let go of our idea. And then I was the one who was managing the social media of that rally, and we had already made logos, and we had made the Instagram, Facebook and Twitter pages. So so I told my friends, since these pages are there, and I saw a lack of a real animal rights organization in Sri Lanka, because there were many dog welfare organizations doing very well. And then we had the environment and conservation organizations, but we didn't have a proper animal rights organization like PETA or World Animal Protection. So so I said, wow, let me just build the Facebook page as a Facebook page, a portal for animal rights, not animal welfare, not conservation. And then so that was how we started, and now finally we are here. So we are like a world recognized organization, and a lot of people call us the voice of the Sri Lankan elephant. So that's how we started. We started very small as a small Facebook page. Then because of the campaigns we did, in some instances government invited us for meetings, and ultimately from a grassroots action group we had to become an organization. It was never planned.
Right.
It happened accidentally, and now my whole life has changed. So elephants have changed my life.
So you started with really humble beginnings, started with the passion for animals, I would say. So what is it, what does RARE really focus on? What is the work you're really doing?
So RARE means Rally for Animal Rights and Environment.
Okay.
That means we are focusing on animal rights, and of course we can't, to save animal rights you can't forget the environment, because the animals live in the environment.
That's true.
Yeah. So we have certain objectives. We have 5 main objectives in our organizations. The first one being ending the captive elephant industry of Sri Lanka, because we believe that no animal should be in captivity, and especially not wildlife.
Okay.
Right. So we have to understand the difference between farm animals, companion animals, and wildlife. Right. So wildlife belongs in the wild. So elephants belong in the wild. They don't belong in any house or any establishment, any religious establishment or the zoo. So they need to be kept in wild. So that is our one of our main objectives. Then definitely another one of our objectives is working towards elevating the conservation status of our elephant, the Sri Lankan elephant, Elephas maximus. And then we want the Sri Lankan constitution to recognize the sentientness of the animals.
Okay.
Right? That means recognize rights. Then we want to also, because we want to build more peaceful and prosperous interspecies relations, and because we are a group of women that started this organization.
Oh, so it's an all-women group.
Yes, we started as all-women's group, and our core team is still a women's group.
That's great.
And yeah, we have a few young males advising us as well. They're joining us as well. But yeah, we are a female-led organization. So we want to empower the next generation of animal rights activists in Sri Lanka, the female animal rights activists. This is one of our organization's main objectives, because it's not easy being a female in this world, right? And it's not at all easy being an activist, and that too an animal rights activist in this world. So we want to empower females to become leaders in conservation and animal rights.
That's actually a great way to start our conversation. Now I actually want to get into something. Action it's very easy to speak, but putting words into action, it's a different story altogether. So what advice would you give someone who is wanting to take that step, but they're unsure where to start? How would you advise them?
Well, first of all, we need to work on ourselves. It takes only one person to make change. You change yourself, then you start the change, and that small ripple would become a big wave in the end. Right. So I think REA has proven that in Sri Lanka, right? We have started as a grassroots company. So if anybody wants to get into animal rights, volunteer, even for the little things, I started as just a volunteer catching dogs for helping other organizations. So volunteer and get your family and friends to volunteer. Then, and with time you can even open your own organization. So, but you have to start with yourself. You need to, and believe in change. Believe that everything is possible. Because if you start thinking that something is impossible, you are never going to achieve that. So it's very important that we believe in change, that we believe in a better world, because you can change the world, but you just have to believe that you can.
That's true. Panchali, now, this issue of the environment, it is a very spoken topic in Sri Lanka. And, sometimes people might get overwhelmed, they might not know where to start. What are some everyday habits, small tips that you can, tell people this is how you can do to contribute? So everyone might not have the opportunity to reach out to an organization. So someone who is willing to take that first step in their own little way.
Yeah. It's very easy actually. First of all, when you go shopping, carry a bag. Don't use polythene. I mean, it's such a basic thing, right? Yeah. So just don't use these shopping bags, these polythene bags. Carry your own bag. I keep a set of bags in the car, and then sometimes I keep a nicely wrapped bag, nicely scotched bag inside my handbag, right? So when you're going, so even if you accidentally want to buy something, you can put it there. And then now I have a habit of either carrying a big tote bag or a backpack, where I can put most of my groceries and things there. So that's a very, very easy way to start. Then avoid buying plastic bottles that can't be recycled. So carry your own water bottle. These are very simple things, but I see, like, we go for meetings, we are served with plastic water bottles. I mean, so carry a water bottle, get a good water bottle. Then you could actually, then if you are going to any particular places like restaurants and all, and you take away, you take a lot of takeaway food, talk to them and tell them to give you in paper covers, like paper bags. Advise your neighborhood shops and your neighborhood restaurants to not use plastic. This is something very important, right? And other thing is, if you can afford it, donate to organizations that do work for dogs and work for the environment. And because that is also something. And then it's like, say, we have social media portals, so you can share the posts, you can spread the message. These are things that you can do from your home, right? So but these little things matter a lot, because, and avoid buying things that is not necessary for you, and avoid buying things in plastic covers. And you know, because then ultimately all this becomes a lot of garbage. Did you notice that more than the food we eat, we throw away a lot of packaging? So we need to, I mean, there are alternatives for everything. So this is something that each of us can do as individuals from home.
My next question for you is, not many people embrace the thing, or what we call of, environmental change, protecting the environment. How do you, approach people like that to break the ice? Some people, it's a very new idea for them, the whole thing of using a metal straw instead of a plastic straw. How do we break through that gap?
Or you could drink. Now people use straws with cups also. You can just drink off the cup, right?
Definitely.
So, well, one thing is, I ask people whether they want to be healthy, right? Because the environment directly affects our health. Especially, we get allergies, we get asthma. I think a lot of us are suffering with different types of respiratory issues these days because of the bad quality of air. It may not have been the direct results of Sri Lankan pollution, but it has come from India. But still, so if you want to be healthy, you need to protect the environment. It's as simple as that. And if you want to protect money, you need to stay healthy, because hospital bills are extremely expensive, and medicine is very expensive. So if you want to stay healthy and you want to protect money, you need to save the environment. It's as simple as that for me.
Social media, yet another crucial aspect in modern days. There is a huge, I would say it's sometimes difficult for people to differentiate between accurate and verified news and fake news. So someone who is advocating for the environment, it's something very important, because you're dealing with statistics, numbers, facts and figures. How do you drive through that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the there are two types of fake news. I think some people there are organized groups that are doing that to change the situation of certain issues, right? But then some people, out of emotion, when you're a lot of impulsively, when you're full of emotions, you just keep on sharing, not knowing what it is and not really. So when you're using, what I've realized, I have also understood through experience. So I have also made some mistakes because I'm in a big hurry. I would just want to share things rather than stopping to think or read the complete post. Sometimes the post starts with something, the graphic is something, but then the content is something else. So I have also made these mistakes. I mean, we are all humans.
Everyone does at some point of their life.
But now what I've realized is you need to be a little patient, read the story, verify, investigate, and a lot of, I mean, Google is there, we can search,
Yes.
then think a little with your common sense whether it's possible, and then share something or post something. Otherwise, you're just leading your country or your group or your cause into chaos.
As a responsible organization, you all have to have that sense of
Yes.
credibility as well.
Yes, but social media is a great tool for educating and creating awareness. And because I think our cause of animal rights have been able to achieve a lot through social media, right? So so we have to protect social media, because it will come to a point where people find it a nuisance if we keep on sharing wrong things and fake news, or sharing it to attack people, and or like to do hate speech and so on. So nowadays Facebook is also they are also very strict. Sometimes too strict. You can't even tell the real story sometimes. But so you just have, like anything, you have to have patience, double check, verify, and then post it.
When Rhea started off as a simple Facebook page, and up to now we're in the year 2023, what do you think was that driving force in terms of social media to get your work out there?
I think it's been the main factor, because a lot of foreign activists and foreign animal lovers also started following our page. And we now have like a mixed, we have youth following us, we have senior citizens following us, and we were able to make a movement especially for captive elephants in Sri Lanka in this last 2021, 2023, in 4 years. And it's all been through social media, because we didn't have at the beginning, we didn't have the money to get onto the street, because it's expensive to do physical programs, right? So if you get onto the street to do something, if you organize physical programs, it's expensive, one thing, because you have to pay for the venues, you have to you have to have cameras, and you have to have mics, sounds, all that.
But that was effective.
But now people are busy also. Sometimes through social media, you can, with one post, you can reach about 50,000 or 10,000, 100,000, sometimes 300,000. But then when you do a physical program,
it's quite limited, isn't it?
The audience is limited. But of course, when you speak one-on-one, it's more effective than somebody reading it and understanding something. But then it has to go hand in hand. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that Rhea became such a force in animal rights scene in Sri Lanka through social media. I can't deny that. I mean, we are an influencer group on social media for animals.
Now, in some regions, I'm navigating to another topic. It's a very broad topic, so I have so many questions to ask you. Now, in some regions, we see the human-animal conflict. What is the advice you would give to people?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, Sri Lanka is the country that kills the highest number of elephants in the world now. In 2022, we have killed 439 elephants. So if you take from 2019, we had killed 407 elephants. 2020 and 2021, with COVID, we killed more than 360 elephants each year.
This is because elephants invade.
This is because of human-elephant conflict.
Yeah.
So the highest number of casualties are from shooting and hakkapatas. Hakkapatas is a very sad, very brutal, cruel way for an animal to die. Because when an elephant eats hakkapatas, the entire it's a, I don't know whether you know what a hakkapatas is. It's a jaw bomb.
Okay.
You disguise explosives inside food, like inside, for elephants they keep it inside pumpkins. Right? So or any food, fruits and so on. So they make a package of food with a bomb inside, and that blasts when an animal eats that. So I mean, this is mainly kept for wild boar, for the wild boar conflict. People, not just for the conflict, actually, people like to eat wild boar meat, although it's illegal. It's freely available in the north central province. People go hunting, people go poaching, and then this is how they kill wild boar mainly. So, but as a side effect, the elephants eat them. So this is one of the topmost killers of elephants in Sri Lanka. Then you have rail accidents, you have vehicle accident, road accidents, and we have very less poaching incidents for elephants in Sri Lanka. That is not common, but shooting and hakapatas are the main killers.
How do we navigate through this?
Well, the thing is, we need to have a national plan, a long-term national plan for about a decade or two, for about 10 years or 20 years. And this should not change with political change in the country, because there should be commitment from the villagers, from politicians, as well as even from us. You know, we need to understand that the governments and people might have to do some sacrifices, because just because we are in the cities, we can't say we are not responsible for human elephant conflict. Even like we said, even most of the human elephant conflict has occurred. The human elephant conflict has started because of unplanned development. So if you are going to a hotel, or if you are going vacationing, or you have to see where your food comes from, it's great if you can do that, so that you know, like, this food has come not by killing an elephant, but by ethical means. We can, you know, people have a lot of power. So anyway, so these plans have to be long term. Whatever human elephant conflict solutions that we are going to bring have to be long term. Otherwise you can't find short term solutions, you can't find overnight results, you will never see overnight results. So and it has to be a commitment from each and every individual in Sri Lanka, not just politicians or not just the villagers that are facing human elephant conflict.
Panchali, do you think, I'm not entirely sure if this is being executed, do you think there is a plan that is underway for villagers to be educated on how to react to a situation when elephants invade their property? Is there something going on like
well,
that?
I actually don't see that many organizations doing that, on how to respond to when elephants come into villages, but then we have been doing it for the past 30-40 years now.
Yeah.
So maybe initially people must have taught them how to, maybe there must have been organizations, I'm not aware, in the past, but right now we don't see that many educative programs going on how to handle when elephants come to the villages.
That is quite crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, because we are still using these firecrackers called alivedi to chase elephants, but now scientifically it has proven that these firecrackers have made elephants more aggressive towards humans. So there is a grudge from the elephant, because they have been terrified by these firecrackers and all, and now they have a grudge with the humans. So when the more you use firecrackers, the more aggressive the elephant is going to be. But these issues have still not been addressed properly. People are still using firecrackers, but there's no proper programs to educate them on how to actually now deal with elephants when they come. But of course the villagers must have proper electric fencing. Right now, all these years, for the past 4 decades, we have been trying to fence in the elephants in protected areas, but we have fragmented their home ranges. A home range is a area that the elephant lives and roams around. The elephant does not like to go out of the home range, but it's mandatory for her to actually walk around the home range. But we have fragmented that home range, and 70% of Sri Lankan elephant home ranges are now out of the protected areas, right?
Okay.
So because of this, you can't fence in elephants inside protected areas. They are definitely going to try and come out of it because their home ranges have been cut short, right? So we have to look at fencing villages, and that has been proposed by Dr. Prithviraj Fernando in National Action Plan for Human Elephant Conflict Mitigation. He has not just Dr. Prithviraj, but there was a presidential committee in 2020 where this plan was formulated, and now it has been implemented since 2022 October. So here he is proposing that we are to fence whatever assets that we want to protect. So we want to protect our house, we want to protect our village, so we are to fence the village. But in the past we have been trying to fence the elephants inside protected areas, which has been very unsuccessful.
Okay, so Panchali, do you think in the near future RARE will be, doing programs like I mentioned on educating villages, responsive educative programs?
We have a street drama.
Okay.
So we did 26 shows last year. This is probably the first time in the world where street drama has been used for elephant conservation. This touches on captive elephant industry as well as wild elephant issues, human elephant conflict. So so that is a very unique and creative way of spreading our message. So we are hoping to take this to human elephant conflict affected areas as well. Last year we concentrated on urban areas in the Colombo districts and Western Province. So hopefully we are looking at going to North Central Province this year mainly with the message of human elephant conflict. But yes, we actually even currently we are last year we also did some English classes for human elephant conflict affected children, because we thought we have to largen their horizon, because if you educate them English, it's a way of broadening their world, right? It provides it's access to the world.
Yeah.
So we did this in Giritale in Nikavava area. So there were three children from 3 villages coming, and we actually these English classes were lessons of environment and animal rights and conservation, but in English, and we were teaching them English. So they were very creative, and we are hoping to expand this as well, because I think you have to plant seeds in children to change the future, right? So yeah, definitely. Even next week, not next week, we are going tomorrow also to talk to villagers. Every few months we go and talk to villagers to understand the situation, because last 4 years our main focus was on captive elephant industry, and I think we have come to a very good level in that. So we are trying to expand into human elephant conflict issues as well, but it's a very costly affair, it's because you have to go to the villages.
Yeah.
But we have also started a mission on Hakkapatas. We call it our mission on Hakkapatas, where we are educating bush meat eaters the connection between your plate of wild boar and the death of the elephant, because most of us living in cities go on vacation and then we ask for bush meat. In the morning you take your camera and go and watch elephants, and you take photos of elephants, then in the evening you want to have bush meat with a drink. So I think because people don't really understand the connection, so we are trying to establish that to make people understand the connection. So that is going on as well. We are mainly we go to villages and talk to the villagers and understand the problem, and and our work, we can use social media to educate villagers as well, because what we realized was most villages have smartphones as well now.
Yes.
So, and they go to Facebook as well. So yeah.
So coming back to what we were talking about, education, something very important you were also mentioning. It's very important to plant the seeds in the younger generation. I think it's very important that this subject is incorporated also into the education system, where children are taught from a very young age. How important is it?
It's very important. I think we need to include animal rights and conservation studies on wildlife conservation, biodiversity conservation, and climate change.
Yes.
All these subjects need to be included in the syllabus. It should be a mandatory subject for all grades, not just the primary, because I remember when we were in school, we just had environment studies from grade 1 to grade 5.
Yes.
After that, we forgot the environment, you know, grade 6
And then
onwards.
after that, it just branches into, I think, science and geography.
Yeah, so so I think all grades must have this subject. And also, I mean, just imagine when COVID was hit, people learned to wear masks so fast, right?
Yeah.
And people learn to wash hands and use hand sanitizer, and any people with different types of educational backgrounds understood the message very well. Why can't we use these means of creating awareness to ask people not to use polythene to protect the environment? It's not impossible. It's a very easy thing. It's just that the commitment is not there. We need to be committed as a nation. I mean, if you can make a person wear a mask in 2-3 days,
Yeah.
why can't we teach somebody to carry a water bottle or not use polythene bags? You can, right? It's all a matter of communication. And also, I think we have not taught our children, and now we all have become adults, and on the real, the one-on-one effect of environment pollution or climate change to individuals. Like, an individual does not understand how climate change affects him, right? Because so you have the individual, and you have you have the individual here, but then the climate change is somewhere around him, but he doesn't understand how it affects him. So why can't we, just like we made people understand that you could catch COVID if you didn't keep social distancing, can't we make people understand how climate change affects that individual? I don't think if you ask somebody how long it takes for a polythene bag to degrade, I don't think, even if you ask 10, I don't think even 8 would know. Sadly, that's the case. So definitely schools have to be used, and not just schools, I think even media, all national media, all broad papers and our TV channels, everybody has a duty to the society to actually educate the people, educate them on what really happens, what happens when you use a polythene bag. It takes sometimes 600-700 years to degrade. So show the Meethotamulla garbage dump, right? Show elephants eating the polythenes, and educate people. This is what happens. This is your garbage. So, reduce the garbage. I mean, in my house, right, I mean, I live with my 3 dogs, and I don't throw away a single bit of food. All the peels of vegetables, I mean, these are very simple things, right?
Yeah.
All the peels of vegetables and fruits go into the garden. I have a small pit made, and all that goes there. And every week I cover it with another layer of soil, and that becomes natural fertilizer. Then me and my dogs eat all the food, like we don't throw food. But in case I have to throw also, I compost them, not in a special bin or whatever. We have a small pit in the garden. And so, I mean, these are very simple things. We do that because we want to save food, not because just because you have money doesn't mean you can just waste food and water, right? So these simple things we can do, but these things have to be drilled into people, I think.
Do you plan on taking for advocating global environmental issues in the near future?
Well, well, the thing is, we have a lot of work in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
right? But we do advocate for Sri Lankan elephants in other countries.
Okay.
We work with other international organizations on that, and whenever possible, we do help in other elephant matters as well, whenever we are required. At one point, there was a issue in Brazil where they wanted endorsements from a lot of elephant organizations around the world. So they requested us to give an endorsement to request the Brazilian government to give an elephant to a sanctuary.
Okay.
So we did that. And there was an issue in Pakistan with Noor Jahan. We helped with that. So whenever we can, we like to help. I personally definitely help because I mean I have activists, friends. I personally definitely help all elephant matters possible in internationally, but as an organization it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because personally I just have to maybe send a tweet or write a letter or write an email or speak about it. But as an organization to do big programs, we already have when it comes to Sri Lankan context, I think we have achieved only like 10%. So a lot of work to do. So we don't, if the capacity we have right now only for Sri Lankan issues.
Moving on into the business sector, just to incorporate it, how would you tell people from the business area when they make decisions for their companies, because this includes everyone? So how would you advise them to keep the environment at the back of their mind, in making decisions for the public or for their employees?
I see most organizations, most businesses have now understood that, and they have started doing that.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Most corporates have their own sustainability departments, and so I think it's already started to happen. Like it's already started in Sri Lanka, but not to the level of where all businesses globally are, right? So I think it's again change the employee, because sometimes I've seen companies doing big environmental projects, but their employees are not environment friendly, or their practices inside the office are not environment friendly. So it's important that you get your employees, request them to be environment friendly, and then do your big conservation projects.
There is also this, how do you expect people to strike the balance, between having a good life and also by protecting the environment? How do you advise people to strike that balance?
Yeah, see, I'm not a person that says consume less, or I mean I like to eat, drink, I like to have fun.
You like
right?
to enjoy?
Yeah, I like to enjoy. I like to live life.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think that you actually have to sacrifice a lot to save the environment now. There are options, right? Even if you take clothes also, you can buy from a company that probably donates a lot to environment conservation, or that does animal welfare, right? So you can still do fashion, but then through fashion you are actually helping an organization to protect the environment, right? So you can do stuff like that. And then there are always, like if it is food, even if it is whatever thing you buy, there is now always the option of going for the ethical and environmental friendly options, right? So I think I think we should have the option of the environment friendly and the ethical products, and the non-environmental and non-ethical products, and people should choose what is correct.
There are now high-end ethical products, as you were mentioning. I think a majority of these fashion labels are very high-end, maybe because of the the quality of work.
They're more expensive.
So not everyone has access to that, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, now say if you take vegans,
Yes.
we don't have that many vegan makeup brands available in Sri Lanka
Yeah.
compared to what is available in other countries. But most of the Sri Lankan cosmetic brands are vegan and they're not tested on animals. So, and most of our local, our local life, like our food is mainly our rice and curry is vegan, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
we consume very less meat and fish anyway. We don't have a meat culture now.
Yes.
Our food is mostly rice and vegetables, not meat and a little bit of salad or whatever.
Yeah.
So, if you look at our local, our traditional ways, I mean, our traditional rice is way better than the rice that we are eating now. But I know, again, traditional rice is a bit more expensive than what we use. But that is because the majority demand is for the modern rice now.
Yeah.
But then I guess if more people start to consume traditional rice again, then that circle would change. It's a matter of, changing, cutting the circle and making a new one. You break the circle and then a new circle ultimately generates, it doesn't stop there.
Panchali, what, maybe we can have in your opinion, what are some underrated environmental issues that, the public should know about?
I think saving the wetlands, right?
Okay.
Especially in the Western Province. And we have the purple-faced langur monkeys. So they live in big trees in the Western Province, and this monkey is endemic to Sri Lanka. This subspecies lives only in Sri Lanka, right? These are the monkeys that you see in these areas, right, in the Western Province. So they live in big trees. The more you cut down the big trees in Western Province, you're pushing that species into extinction. This is a very close to my heart issue because there are a few big trees around my house and there are many monkeys. I live in Malabar, right? So apart from our rare work on a personal basis, I go rescuing monkeys whenever I get to know in our area in Battaramula and Malabar and Talawatgoda and all. So this purple-faced langur issues, right? And wetlands. It's because you see the elephant and the leopard, more people think only of that, but the wetlands in the Western Province are very, very important for biodiversity as well as climate change. And the wetlands in Colombo are mostly Ramsar certified, right? So these are very, very valuable and globally they're like world heritages, these wetlands not just belong to Sri Lanka, but they're a heritage of the world. But because of development in the Colombo district, they are vanishing, right? So we have to because sometimes people, probably it could be a land that you own in the Western Province, and you might think that, I'll just cut off the trees and maybe pave with cement tiles or whatever. Don't do that, because these lands are very important. So keep it bare and let it grow and let them be forests as much as possible, because they're one of the biggest assets that we have, but people don't realize that. Like Badbegana Wetland Park, Viyasaru, and this Madivela areas. So this is a treasure that we are neglecting very badly.
Thank you so much. Now time is catching up, unfortunately. So I would invite you to speak a few words briefly to our viewers watching us today, something inspiring, something that they can take from you today.
Yeah, I think something that I believe and ask everybody to do is change yourself and change the man in the mirror, right? So when you change the man in the mirror, the society, the world, your country will definitely change.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today. Today we were talking to Panchali Panapitiya, director and founder of Rare Sri Lanka. Thank you for taking your time off your schedule to inspire people watching us today, and we from ITN wish you all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure you watch us again. We are coming to the end of yet another edition of The Spotlight, bringing to you a story that ignites change. And I invite all of you to join us again next Monday at 9 p.m. for a story that will inspire you and motivate you. Watch us again on Vasantham TV and the official YouTube channel of Prime Television. Have a lovely night ahead and stay safe.